Welcome everyone to another episode of Straight to the Point with myself, Daniel, as the host, and I've got an awesome guest today from Farmfitnz New Zealand, the brother Kane. How are you, man?
Yeah, I'm good, mate. How are you?
Yeah, good, brother. So, what really has stood out to me, in your social medias and videos and stuff like that, is obviously you're in the rural, business. You're a farmer, and from what I've heard, the statistics are pretty bad in the way of men's mental health. But from the videos and the journey that you've been on a pretty healing one. Can you kind of enlighten me in that area?
Yeah, bro. I guess for a long time, the rural sector had the highest suicide rates throughout New Zealand. Just recently, we've been taken over by the construction industry, but I think we're still like second or third, and a lot of obviously workplace deaths as well. And I think that's attributed to that stoic male thing. A lot of it, when you think of Kiwi males, we're all pretty head down, ass up, hard workers, go and have a beer at the pub, but, you never talk about your emotions or anything like that. And, when you live rurally, you're already isolated,
Yeah.
and it's extremely easy to just stay and work on the farm, do 80 odd hours a week every week, and that's your life, and you can isolate yourself really easy from anyone around you. And I think that's been a really massive part of why those stats have been so high throughout, history in New Zealand. And yeah, it's a tough gig, eh? Like you're working with a lot of things out of your control. So obviously Mother Nature plays a massive part in our business, business wise, but also how hard our day is and how hard our season is. We're at the mercy of what she throws at us. You chuck in some animals, they're pretty unpredictable, mate, and all sorts of shit goes wrong with them. And then obviously, to what we earn, whether you're meat, wool, or dairy or horticulture, we're often dictated by the consumers overseas and in our own country. So we don't set the price; the consumers sort of set the price, and we get what we're given. So there's a lot of things out of our control that just add a whole lot of stress to a physically tough job as well. And yeah, I guess what am I, 36 now? I left school at 17 and went straight into farming, and I've been doing it ever since. So just over half my life I've been farming, and I've seen it all pretty much. And I was that Kiwi stoic rural male. I just worked my ass off, never talked about my emotions. Love was even though I had loving parents and that, expressing love or sadness. Like I don't reckon I cried from the age of probably 15 through to 30, I would say, early 30s. I, never, couldn't cry, bro. Couldn't cry. Wanted to sometimes, but couldn't, just because that was not what fucking men did, and like I was that typical male, bro. I just didn't speak to no one, went through my own battles, as a kid and in farming. At one point, just hated farming. I'd loved it all my life, and then it got to a point where I just hated it and wanted to walk away from it. But I guess I developed a few ways of dealing with stress and hard times and depression and stuff through sport and exercise. And I don't know, I guess that Kiwi, that rural male didn't want to quit, so I kept sort of persevering with it, and sort of just like something's got to change in my life and how I am and how I deal with things. And sort of the last probably 5 to 8 years in particular have been just trying to be a better guy, better man, and not be airy fairy, but actually deal with my emotions and try and find a way to express them in a comfortable way for me, and be proactive with it. I think is probably the big thing with myself, and then obviously with FarmFit as well, as being proactive with your physical and mental health. So trying to catch it before you go into the hole, and doing things when you're feeling good to help you through those tough times, because they're always going to come. You know, it doesn't matter how good you are or who you are, or how good your mental health has been. Life will throw you shit.
Yeah.
But yeah, just trying to develop tools, I guess, and ways to sort of help you through that without hitting the bottom of the cliff, because like, I've been there, and it sucks. That bouncing part when you hit the bottom's pretty tough. So
Yeah.
yeah, that's sort of where it's at, mate.
Yeah, no, awesome, brother. Yeah, so obviously it's been a massive journey for you, and I think what really stands out to me is obviously, like you say, you have been kind of viewed and even viewed yourself as that stoic, she'll be right, harden the fuck up, get over it,
Mm,
fucking, men don't cry, men don't feel emotions type person. And now you've
yeah,
done a complete 360, and now you're doing presentations and talks in the rural sector and out of the rural sector as well. From what I see,
yeah,
you're having conversations and podcasts with people. I'm pretty sure even like as far as Australia and stuff like that, like you are talking about your emotions quite regularly now, and making it a very normalized thing, which I feel is just fucking amazing, especially for the farmers that watch your content and that, because I guess that's the thing now. Social media and stuff is such a common thing. Obviously when your co-workers or even just farmers in general are on their lunch break, they're going to be going on the
yeah,
Instagrams and Facebooks or whatever, and you will pop up on their feed because you like, for me personally, like you're probably the only the only farmer that I know that is doing what you're doing in New Zealand, to be, and I'm sure there's many more, like obviously you'll probably know more, but for me what stands out is, yeah, like this guy that's come from this she'll be right background has completely just turned it around, and I can relate in different ways, like through my experience of holding an emotion and stuff like that. I guess for me, I was always kind of, labeled as that naughty kid and would express my emotions in quite an external way. So it's not to say that I wasn't holding stuff in, because I definitely was, but the way I was expressing myself through, even as a little kid, was through, having tantrums and throwing my toys out of the
yeah,
cot
yeah,
and shit like that, and whereas from what you've kind of just shared, you were more just it was all internal. You were just carrying that big rubbish bag of past, guilt,
right.
shame, trauma, and all of that shit with you. I was kind of tipping it everywhere, but not really knowing how to juggle it all. You know what I mean? So it's just awesome
Yeah,
what you're doing, bro. And what I really want to know is kind of what's like. Obviously, you're running fitness programs. You're quite involved in different events and stuff. Like, what is your not end goal, because I guess nothing's really going to end and until we
mhm.
pass away type thing. But what do you want to continue to do and grow in this
Yeah, like
buzz?
the I guess the underlying thing for me was it wasn't just about farmers. Like obviously I'm a farmer, so I'm in the rural sector, so it was about helping farmers. But more than anything, man, I just wanted people to be better, and
Yeah,
try and inspire them and give them some info, and take I guess take the lessons I've learned in life, and how I live life now, and try and pass that on to others, so that they can be better. So I don't care, like, whether you're a farmer, a fucking All Black, a chef, a fucking accountant. The better person you are, and the more tools you've got, and the more you've got your ducks in a row in life, the better you'll be at your job. But it's like you'll be a better husband, better wife, better father. All of those things are more important than your job. I guess the content I put out is directed at farmers because it's what I know the most.
yeah,
And it's the people I've seen, throughout my life. I relate to them the most because I've been there alongside them in the trenches, and I know how lonely it can be, and how hard it can be, and how stressful and all that sort of shit. So that's sort of what I've focused on. But no, my goal is just to help people, mate. I'm incredibly, like, sort of when I created or in the beginning of FarmFit, bro, I sort of sat down and had a bit of a brainstorming session. I'm like, what am I passionate about? I'm like, I fucking love this country. Like, I actually love New Zealand. Like, I've traveled overseas a bit, and I still rate us as, you know, one of the best places to live in the world. Um, I love, you know, love our sports teams and how we compete on the international level, you know, with everyone. Um, I love the people in it, you know, because I think we are unique in the world. We're probably losing that a little bit, but I think we are a unique people. And I love farming, so it's like I want to help all of those. You know, I
Yeah,
just
yeah.
want everyone to succeed, because at the end of the day, that's what does our country good. You know, so for me, it's just about doing that really, and yeah, I sort of like when I first went on social media, it was like, oh, if I could get 500 people inspired, that would be fucking amazing, you know. That was sort of my goal, and after a lot of toil, we sort of got there, and then it was like, well, there's no actual limit. Why not inspire more? So it's
Yeah.
just been sort of growing that, and you know, just yeah, there's no yeah, like you said, there's no end goal as such. I'm just really passionate about people in our country, and I think the old farming lifestyle is a pretty awesome way to grow up.
Yeah, yeah,
It
for
is
sure.
pretty unique, I guess, experience and childhood, and it's a unique play sort of work environment too. Has its goods and bads, but
Mm.
yeah, I love it. So I want people to keep doing it and keep experiencing that in a hearty Kiwi way. I think is pretty cool for us as a country.
Yeah, oh, for sure, man. Yeah, it's just so inspiring. And I guess another question I have is like, what, you know, like if you know, if a farmer does come across our chat and our yarn and is struggling to kind of reach out and you know, regulate their emotions, and they're in that dark place of you know, isolation, and they just feel kind of stuck, like what would you tell your old self, or what would you tell that farmer that's in a bad place?
Oh, definitely. Like probably when I was struggling, mental health wasn't really talked about that much, or it was just starting to. Um, and I never thought like I thought I was a mentally strong person, so I never thought I'd actually get into a bad place, like a really bad place. So I thought I was the only one, you know, in my community that would be struggling. I knew there was, you know, obviously knew the suicide statistics for farming were pretty bad. So I was like, there are farmers out there that struggle, but I was like, I sort of looked around my community. I was like, oh, none of them are struggling.
Mm.
You know, so I'm the only one here. But fuck, it couldn't be further from the truth, eh? Like the conversations I've had with people over the last 5 years, um, they've all either going through their struggles or they've had them. And you get the odd rare person that would say they haven't really. And I can guarantee you that their struggles are coming, you know.
Yeah, yeah.
Doesn't matter whether you're 20 or 60. I've talked to many farmers actually that are in their 50s and 60s that they hit depression and stuff then. And you sort of think like, and even a couple of them have talked about it, you know, they grew up hard, you know, in the 60s and 70s back, you know, in New Zealand and 50s.
Yeah, they would have
You know,
been
it was
fucked
a
up,
tough
eh?
upbringing back then. They went
Yeah.
through some hard shit, you know, and they sort of tell me, oh, I got through that fine, you know. I was young and I was keen and strong and fit, and you know they just plowed on through it. But it's later in life they get some different challenges that are more mental, or some baggage that they left behind as a kid. You know,
Yeah.
um, that shit comes up if you don't deal with it sooner or later. It comes up. Often I think it's when their parents pass, or something like that, or they have maybe some conflict with their children. There's a lot of conflict around you know, passing the farm on through the generations.
Mm.
A lot of that stuff can actually bring up some real old gnarly shit, eh? And that's when it hits them. So it's like it just doesn't discriminate, man. Like
No.
that's my message. You're not alone. Everyone's been through it or going through it, basically. So yeah, that's what I'd tell myself is, you know, you're not alone. And I think that would help try and give me permission to get help and speak. because I didn't for a long time. I, just sipped the old mouth shut and just worked harder and tried to work my way through it, but yeah, there's nothing worse than feeling lonely, I reckon, mate.
Yeah, 100%. And I guess that's the beauty of social media as well, as having that kind of platform to be able to express your authentic self
Mm.
and share your journey and share your healing and progress. I remember watching a live you were doing with a fella down in Queenstown, I believe. I think it's Queenstown. He does like men's
Yeah,
retreats and stuff like
yeah,
that.
yeah, Dion. Yeah.
Amazing, bro. Amazing.
Oh,
Like
yeah.
even that conversation that you were having with him, it like blew me away because I was kind of like, watching you, have yarns and stuff like that. And then you have the chat with him. I'm like, holy shit, this is just leveled up to a whole new dimension.
Bro, if you asked me 5 years ago whether I'd go to like a men's retreat and fuck, bro, I would have knocked you the fuck out. Like sometimes
Do some
I think
breathing,
that,
some bloody meditation and
oh
that.
fuck, bro, like I wanted to slap people that did that shit back in the day, like I was like, fuck you.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Harden up.
fully.
So
The eerie,
there's been quite a
fiery
few,
fucking, yeah.
yeah, like even I remember when I still do it now. Sometimes when I do a video on my phone, I was like, fuck, man, if I was 20 and I saw some cunt doing that on my farm, I'd just be like, what a dick, like, get out. And I've had these moments where I was like, man, if I saw myself doing this 10 years ago, I would have fucking punched me, like, it's just such a, yeah, so crazy. But that was just it just shows the difference in mentality and attitude. And yeah, it's funny, man. It's funny looking back at that stuff.
Yeah, yeah, and I think the real strong message I get from all of this is that change is really fucking possible, and I think
Oh, yeah.
a lot of us as humans, we get stuck in this hamster wheel, this cycle, in the system, thinking, oh fuck, nothing's ever gonna change. But from your journey and my own, I know that change is possible, but the most important thing is action, bro. Like you're not going to be able to
Yeah.
create that change if you're just fucking sitting there feeling sorry for yourself with the whole pity party going on, and like I've been there, bro. Like I've been in that pity party with all the fucking streamers and balloons, bro, and it doesn't go anywhere. And I think that's a really strong message I get out of this conversation is that you've had to kind of get really comfortable with being uncomfortable and doing shit that you probably, like you say, you never even could have even comprehended it was possible
Yeah.
for you to do. Like really push yourself through. Like I don't even believe that sky's, the saying the sky's the limit. I think the limit can go way higher than
Yeah, bro.
like it's limitless, you know what I mean,
Yeah.
and your journey is testament to that, and it's just massive massive love and respect, man. It's fucking cool.
Oh, cheers, brother. I appreciate it. I think one of the things is like I started getting good. Like I'd always been into sports, so what I sort of thought in my head, I was really good at getting physically uncomfortable,
Yeah.
pushing myself physically. And then I'd sort of done quite a few things, and then I was like, well, I've never really pushed myself emotionally or mentally, and started sort of diving into that. But the biggest hurdle I think I had, bro, was pride and ego. Those two things will fuck up a lot of good things in your life,
Oh
I
yeah.
reckon, man. Like I was, too proud to ask for help. Talking about shit felt like failure,
Mm.
and you have a sense of yourself that you're never going to struggle or be in that bad place and that sort of shit. If you can step over those two things, that gives you the freedom, I reckon, to start making those changes and taking actions to it. Because you can sit there and watch a video, or it doesn't matter, it might be Wim Hof, who's, the guru about breathing and ice cold and all that sort of shit and the benefits. You can sit down and listen to all this stuff and it all makes sense. But if your pride or ego gets in the way, like if you saw yourself sitting down in the middle of the lounge doing breathing exercises, if you walked in on yourself you'd think, oh, what's this fuckwit up to, you know? And that's that pride and ego, bro. That's that pride and ego in your head, giving yourself that perspective. So if you can step over them and just actually take an action, might be breathwork, whatever the fuck it is, something that's a bit different for you, man. Once you actually start taking some actions, and if you can do that consistently, you can't argue with the results then.
No.
You can argue with them up here because you can tell yourself any story you want up in your head, eh? Like that's
Yeah.
the tricky thing, bro, and it's not always a good story, eh?
No, it's not. And I guess, yeah, I really, really relate to that too, man, because I'm the same, you know, not in a million fucking years I would have thought I'd be doing, you know, rebirth brief work sessions and fucking all of this type of stuff, you know. But it's changed my life, man, for the what, you know, like just yeah, I couldn't even really put it fully into words, but you know, like I did some like I paid this life coach. He's now a good friend
Yep.
of mine, and like I was always kind of a manipulator and hustler, bro, and I'd never give money to fucking anyone, especially for that type of shit. You know what I mean? But
Yep.
I had to really put my ego and my pride aside, and really because I think that's the thing. Like when I was using drugs and alcohol and all that type of stuff to try and escape my reality, you know, I would go to any lengths to get high and fucked up, you know. So for me, when I change my life, you know, I have to have that mindset of I'll go to any lengths to get well, you know, to
Yeah.
actually start being my authentic self. And I guess that's, you know, what I'm hearing as well is that you know, like we get so sometimes comfortable with you know, staying stuck and being that old version of ourselves. But once we kind of break through those barriers and kind of prove to ourselves and walk into that lounge and we're there doing fucking crazy breathing and listening to some fucking calm breathe, let things go. It's actually starting to prove that it was just our ego, and that's
Yep.
literally all it was. It was just that pride and ego that was really chaining us to the fucking to the cell of the mind, to the prison of the mind, you know. Because like you
Yep.
say, the fucking mind is, it can come up with some crazy shit.
Andy.
Yeah.
It's like I think like a lot of that ties into everything everything we do as a human, right? Like whether, you know, you might be addicted to scrolling on your phone or sitting down watching Netflix all night, eating shit food. You do it because it gives you value somehow. It might be drug addiction or alcohol, you know, you value it in some way.
Mm,
And it's a bit of a mind fuck that you've got to understand why you value it, you know, and because you can sit there and, you know, fuck, you know, shoot up or fucking smoke pot or what and get high or throw back a fucking couple of dozen of beers every night and hate yourself afterwards. And that's the tricky thing about addiction, I guess, is you need it and love it and then hate yourself afterwards. And
mm,
you gotta find where's the value in this for me, you know? And you put a
yeah.
lot of value, like you said, you do anything you can to get a hit, right? Like you would beg, steal, borrow, fucking whatever. So it's like trying to switch that value onto positive things into your life and take that attitude of hustling and fucking doing whatever it takes. Take away the chemical addiction and give yourself an addiction to, you know, working out and that sort of shit, you know, because I truly believe that we're all addicted to things like I'm addicted to exercise. Like if I can't exercise for 4 or 5 days or something, man, I start going a bit fucking loopy
Mm,
in the head. Or if I've got to eat real shit food for you know 3 days or something, if we go on holiday and there's no better options, I hate it. I start hating myself, you know, and like I've always just thought like be addicted to shit that brings you positive
mm,
things in your life, you know. There's a lot of addictions out there that will bring you negative things, so I try and go towards the road that's going to bring me positive things. And you know, too much of anything's bad, but you know, there's way more positives to being fucking addicted to going to the gym than addicted to going down the fucking side alley, you know, and hustling deals and shit. So it's a tricky old mind fuck we give ourselves in the old head. But yeah, it's what I've tried to do is try and place that same value into positives.
yeah, no, I really, really resonate and relate with that. And I think that's the thing is like it's just, you know, continuously proving to ourselves that anything is possible, and we can really counteract that. I did a video this morning actually based around that demon kind of sitting in the corner waiting for your weakest moment to just pounce on you
Yeah.
and tell you these negative things that you used to tell yourself, and the lack of self-love and the lack of self-worth and stuff like that. And don't get me wrong, I still have moments and days where I can sit in that pity party and kind of feel
Yeah.
shit, but I'm very grateful now that I have tools to, if I was to sit in it, like it's my own fucking doing, bro, and I've got to kind of get myself out of it. It's not about the harden up and all that type of stuff, but like as humans we all have choices, and like you
Yeah.
say, it's that crossroad. Sometimes it's every minute, am I going to do this or am I going to do that? Is it going to better my life or is it going to fuck shit up?
Yeah. And it's like that fucking devil never goes away, eh? Like he's always
Nah,
sitting
bro,
there.
he's always there, bro. He's there right now
Hey,
while we're fucking talking, mate.
yeah.
He's there,
Yeah.
bro. He's playing the piano. He's fucking, fuck, he's there, bro. And it's just trying to almost like because I've done a bit of inner child work as well, and I think that's what I've kind of realized over the years. That kind of little boy, and Matt Brown, She Is Not Your Rehab. He's just put out an app, Inner Boy, and like it's going totally viral. Funny enough, and a lot of guys are really gravitating towards it, and I think it's about time that that stuff really starts to get the acknowledgement that it deserves, because when I was in school there was no such thing as an inner boy or meditation or breath
Yeah.
work or fucking anything like that, bro. It was just maths, English, and fucking PE or whatever. It was a very structured thing, but there wasn't much like holistic stuff like your bro down in Queenstown and stuff like there wasn't any of that. I didn't even kind of realize that that was even an option. So
Yeah.
it's
Me
really
too, bro.
cool now to see that there's a lot of there's a lot more alternatives and there's a lot more options now, especially for our newer generation. Like me and my partner, we don't have kids, but I know that you do, and it's looking at like the newer generation, bro. Like I would it would break my heart for them to feel like they are completely alone and there's no help and support out there. You know what I mean? Because there truly is, and there's a lot. I think it's definitely, the volume's definitely turned up, since the 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s, and even the 2000s, that I reckon probably over the last maybe 5 years, there's been, semi-dramatic change happening with, and to be fair, like I don't think it's coming from the fucking government either, bro. I think it's coming from the community, my bro. People like yourself, people like me, people that are, grassroots, actually talking about it, and getting it out there.
Yeah, like it's awareness, eh? Like so kids are only they do what they see, and
100%.
I think with the whole mental health thing, it's I think Mike King's talked about it, but it's going to take generations to change.
Yeah.
And like my kids now, they'll have their own challenges that'll be different to mine. But if like I just try and model, being proactive, looking after myself, we try and I guess talk about problems and shit a bit more, and because mine and your problems is our parents didn't know any different. It's not their fault, but they didn't talk about shit like that. It was just I modeled what I saw, which was hard work and fucking don't complain. You gotta slap around the ass, or kick up the bum if you moan too much, or you just got everything taken away and you're fucking you had nothing to play with, basically.
Yeah.
Your toys got taken away, you were sent to your room, whatever. Which like I'm not against that. I think there's probably a place for that. Like I think everything is a balance, right? So the last fucking, I don't know, human history, like tough love on kids and kick up the ass when they needed it was how people parented. It's just how it was. And I think the danger is we're probably, like, if it's a pendulum, we've probably swung round to banning smacking, giving kids what they want, participation awards for everything, and all that sort of thing, which there's some good stuff in that, but like I always think like it always swings too far, and then it needs to swing back in the middle a little bit, because fuck, life is hard. Like, you need to be tough. Like, if you've survived up until today, you've probably gone through some hard shit. You've probably been and seen and all sorts of shit. Like, you got to be tough to get through that. And you got to be tough to want to get up tomorrow and do it again. Like, that's the hard bit on those bad days, bro. Is like, yeah, I got through today. How am I going to get up and do it again tomorrow? Like, you need some toughness, some edge, some fucking some determination, some ticker to get through those moments in life. And so we've also got to teach that too. Like, we can't go completely away from that, because, you teach kids that it's all fucking love and hugs. They get out into the real motherfucking world, bro, and it ain't. Like, from the day dot to fucking as far as you can see into the future, there's going to be bad motherfuckers out there. Like, there's going to be tough things happening. It might be completely different to anything we know. Aliens might turn up in 50 years. Who fucking knows, and fuck shit up. But, we've got a toughness as a part of resilience. I think what we've got wrong is for years, bro, I thought toughness was resilience. And there's I've only changed a couple of fucking words in there, but it makes a massive difference, because if you can be aware of like that inner child, like, I didn't know that was a thing until like 3 or 4 years ago, probably even fucking 2 or 3 years ago. If you can have your traumas sorted, or, dealing with them and healing, if you know what sort of character you have as a human, and if you can express your emotions when you need to, if you can deal with stress instead of just shoving it down, man, that makes you so much tougher, because then that's the essence of resilience, is that big holistic picture. There's so many, the people you hang around with, the support you've got, that all feeds into this fucking resilience fucking thing, man. And I just had it so wrong. I just thought the tougher and harder you were, the more resilient you were. That was resilience, but that's only just a little fucking portion of it. There's so many other things that go into it, and you see the people, man, when they've got all that other shit together. Like, the sportsmen are great examples, like Richie McCaw, man. He was so tough because he had all his other shit, pretty well sorted in life, and he was able to, when he was on the park for that 80 minutes, bro, he didn't have nothing else in his mind apart from his goals during the game or whatever it was. And that made him tough on the paddock, and that made him a better player. And if you really look at people, whether it's a business person, a worker out on the farm, bro, the ones that have got their, a reasonable amount of shit together in their life, and know who they are, and can sort through things, man, they're the ones that really go on to succeed, because they have that whole resilience sort of thing. And they may not know it, but, it's like, I'm the same, bro. If I've got shit going on in my personal life, bro, I'm nowhere near as good playing sport or out on the farm or on social media. Everything around you feeds into it, brother. And that toughness is a bit of it's what we all look to, but it's only a little bit of the equation.
100%, yeah, definitely. It's only a fragment in the whole thing of life, and I guess that's probably the best place to kind of to wrap it up, bro. Like, it's just blowing me away, this conversation, and like I say, I've always really admired your mahi and what you do, and who you are, bro. And I just
Likewise, bro.
It's awesome to finally, because we've probably been following each other for quite a bit of time now, so it's been awesome to connect and have this chat, bro. And I'll put your page and website and all that kind of stuff with this podcast if people want to come and message you and have a yarn.
Yeah, I appreciate the stuff you do, bro, because it's like, when I started Farmfitnz, I was like, it takes everyday people to make change. Like you said, the government don't fucking do it. They can set up some organizations and put funding towards things and stuff, but people want to see people, they want to relate to people, everyday people. Appreciate what you're doing, bro, and much love.
Awesome. Thanks, my brother. Thanks, Kane.
Cheers, bro.
Sure, bro.